Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone in the room who has joined us, and those who are joining us from around the world online. We are very grateful. It's been extremely fun seeing all the numbers coming in terms of how many people have been watching online. We have a last session that is actually going to be absolutely reflective of the last 2 years. If there's anything we know, especially in the last 2 years, and as we end up going into this whole blockchain new world of travel, we need to be very agile, we need to be very quick, we need to be flexible to things that change, and if something's not working, we make another plan. So we've done some playing around with the schedule, and we're now going to jump into session number 9, which is the finale session today, before we actually wrap up the summit as a whole. So session number 9 is about new tourism, essential readiness for blockchain. And when we talk about new tourism, it's also very much the next tourism, because as we've seen, we're going from stage to stage to stage of what is the future of travel and tourism. I have a very busy stage, which I'm very excited about. I get the pleasure of being the moderator on this panel itself. And it's going to be a complete collection of fabulous leading women in travel and tourism and in blockchain who are going to be joining me. So I'm going to ask first, we have joining us for this session, Claudia, our very dear friend from Riva, who's going to be joining us on stage, so thank you very much. Excellent, thank you. We also have joining us on stage Anju Gomes, the Regional Director for Middle East from ICCA, the International Congress and Convention Association. We have joining us as well Anastasia Kiritsi, University Lecturer of Arden University in Germany and the UK. And Alushca Ritchie, World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations, WFTGA. So you take the award for the longest acronym of the day. So stunning. I'm going to see if I can grab a handheld microphone so I can walk around rather than being so far away. It does feel very far, I must say. Brilliant. Oh, that works. Excellent. Thank you very much. And ladies, thank you for being with us, because this finale is going to be a very important one. Anju, you feel so far away. So what we want to do is really talk about how do we pull this conversation? How do we pull together the conversation from today, which really means how do we bring together the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain, travel, tourism, business, leisure, and make it all happen. One thing we have not spoken about at all today, or at least in depth, we talked about trust. We talked about trust about the currencies. We talked about trust about the technology. But the critical element, the deal breaker of the future of travel and tourism when it comes to blockchain is the consumer, is the traveler, is the user. Ultimately, it's about getting people comfortable to go into a new dramatic space of technology. The same way we used to have paper tickets when we get on board. I'm sure we all remember those little red backings that we get our fingers all red. And we went into e-tickets. Again, aviation being at the forefront. That was a huge shift. We're all now getting into a digital world, which is great until your battery dies, and then we want to go back to paper. But it's very important that we take into account, are travelers going to feel comfortable diving into a world that could cost them significantly if the world goes wrong? I would love, Claudia, if you can please share from your perspective, from the technology perspective, what you believe to be the critical enabler to ensuring travelers genuinely feel safe. Please.
I will not speak from the technology perspective, even I am representing Cariva, but I will speak from the human perspective. Always in life, this is shown by history, but by changes. Always in life you are reluctant, you are rejecting the new. You are afraid because you don't know how to manage. You don't know how to react to something that is new. So the most important thing for us, people that are offering this kind of new technology, we are offering the opportunity to the consumer to travel in a new way, more efficient, more exciting, but new, really new way, is to explain, to unpack this unknown. Because this is what happens. You feel that it's a territory that you don't know, that nobody explains to you, but that nobody explains to you why it's safe or what is not safe. Nobody explains to you how to do it. So you are reluctant. You are rejecting this by default because you don't know, because you are afraid of mistake, you are afraid not being able to manage. So I think it's very, very important for building the trust of the consumer to explain, to educate the public. It was the example that I offered also this morning, you know. My mother was using the fiat money, yes, the traditional money, you know, the cash. Our generation is using, but was quite reluctant 10 years ago, for example, using the debit and credit cards. You prefer to pay with cash than to use your credit card, or even you are withdrawing money from the cash machine and paying with cash. Now, it's like awkward if somebody asks you to pay with cash because you say, I pay with my card. Normally, you don't even have cash in your pocket. So this is the next step, to explain to all the public, to all the consumer, that this is the next step in which you don't need anymore credit cards, cash. You only have this kind of currency that you can use for all, for paying for your services, and also that the business providers will accept this currency, because this is also an important element, because everybody is asking, but what I will do with cryptocurrency, with Arriva, if the hotel will not accept this cryptocurrency? But they will accept. It will be a common exchange. It will be also from the part of the consumer being open to use the new technology, but also from the part of the business sector, that if they will be open to use the new technology, they will meet at the middle. So that's why the first step and the most important one, and I was trying also to do this morning, is to explain to the public what is this new, challenging, not understanding thing that is happening in front of our eyes, that only the teenagers are understanding, or the new generation is understanding. It's not so complicated. It's simple if you are explaining in simple words. It's simple if you realize that it makes your life easier. I show you from a very complicated situation in which you have to prepare your travel experience, booking flights, hotels, restaurant, any other type of entertainment activities, and you are going from application to application, giving emails, giving telephone. You only have a platform that it's provided to you, it's offered to you all these type of services, and you only have to choose your services. You only have the opportunity to choose these services by being also very reliable services, because you have the information, because you have that reviews on the platform that offer you the guarantee that you are buying a credible quality service. And you just use this kind of new currency that is in your wallet, on your telephone, and you are just transforming a simple, a complicated operation and process in a very simple one, and you are making your life easier. But just be open, and also it's the duty of the industry to explain, to create to the consumer the trust and confidence, and to be comfortable to use this kind of new technology. Because it's here, the future is here, this is the reality. It's not a very far away future, it's a very near future.
But it's an interesting point you make, because the future might be here, but many people are much more comfortable in the past. And I think that's why I love what you're positioning and why I started with you, because one would naturally think that you're going to respond in a very technical way to my question. You didn't. You responded in a very empathetic way, and that says a great deal about helping people move through it. I'm going to go right to the far end, and I'm going to wave. I think we need a passport to bring you into the conversation. But I'm going to ask Anju from your perspective as well, because we look at it, what ultimately is the critical test for us to make sure that we get people on board in absorbing blockchain into part of our travel lives? You're coming very much from a business travel perspective, which is interesting, but I'd love to hear how you've been processing what you've learned today. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anita.
You need to do a little bit of a karaoke routine and get it really close as if you're about to sing.
Okay, sure. So today I get a lot of information about blockchain, but it's not new for me. And I have been introduced to this a long time ago in 2016, which was also not very early. But I do understand that currently the situation in the market is about trust and about convenience. And it's a lot of education that the consumers will need. Being in this industry from such a long time, I see that there is a lot of processes that can be converted into a convenient way for making it a very easy process for travelers, because as a business traveler, we travel a lot, and it's very difficult to manage already the visa processes and the tickets, and it's all interlinked. And if there is convenience created where you don't need to go and stand in every queue. I've been traveling from the time the year 2022 has hit, and it's been very tiring to go to consulates and to go and book your tickets versus your 6 or 7 checkpoints at the airport. And it would save a lot of time. It would encourage people to travel more easily. And of course, this is a future. So travel industry is a massive mass conveyor to the people, and it connects people. So I think it's the industry which once somebody taps into, blockchain will see a new horizon. And it will definitely help to exchange and buy through crypto a ticket or any service on the airport. Right now, you look for currency. A small anecdote: when I went to Bahrain recently, and they only take local currency, and you're coming, and if you don't have that, and you presume that, as Claudia said, cash is no more there, so everybody is supposed to at least accept a credit card. Well, they don't yet. So it's still, a lot of education is pending on that part. And if crypto comes in, we'll save the world as well. We'll go towards sustainability a bit more, and I think we will contribute to the economy, to contribute to the world, and I think we will cover the entire 16 GDS points that we need to convert our world towards. And I think it's only helping us to educate ourselves and bring the awareness. And I'm just waiting which airline is going to take the first step.
You make a really good point, and it's a conversation that was had earlier in one of the panels where, from the blockchain side, the comment was, we don't understand travel and tourism enough, and travel and tourism doesn't understand blockchain. And you've hit a really important point, Anju, about the benefits, communicating the benefits, exactly as Claudia was saying, being empathetic and understanding. I fly in 5 hours' time to Saudi. I have checked 3 times about the medical requirements, and I'm still not confident when I get to the airport that I don't need a PCR test or an antigen. And part of me thinks that one of the beauties about something like blockchain, whether the data is numeric or it's letter-based, it's the integration of information. Right. It's a single way of understanding this is what you need to make whatever you're trying to have happen. And I think that's an interesting part, that rather than, because a lot of the conversation about blockchain has been more about generic risk rather than reward, and it's flipping it. So Anastasia, from your point of view, what do you think is going to be critical in making sure that travelers really get that sense of trust and they're prepared to leave their credit cards at home before they travel?
Thank you for your question. Already with the credit payments, it was a matter of credibility and trust. Now, of course, with this new technology that is most of the people are not so familiar with, although already it's not something new. It's already being applied by several companies in the tourism sector as well, like TUI, like IATA coins, they are there already. But this is not applied in a massive way yet. Although already several hotels and cruise companies can avoid significantly overbookings and predictions in bookings and stuff that actually help the customer experience. The barriers connected to this new technology, of course, that, as it was said earlier, it has to do with leaving the old way of doing things. This is something connected to change management. Of course, we as a species are not very positive in anything that has to do with change, although change is inevitable to happen in our life in every aspect. And this is the barrier that it needs to be resolved now, is exactly this: how to build the trust between the consumers and all these stakeholders involved in this supply chain. Because at the end of the day, it's a value exchange, what it is being done with a blockchain. And as the word says, all data, because we live in this Internet of Things now, it's all about gathering data. All this data, how to avoid the data breach. The consumers are reluctant to anything new because we need to make sure that the barriers connected to cultural barriers, the way of doing things, as well as the technological barriers. Not everybody have access worldwide in all these technologies. Let's not forget that although mobile technology is something that over the last 10 years the connected devices are more than 50 billion devices already currently. Still, in many developing countries, not many people have access, or internet is very poor. So these are some significant barriers, and we cannot do anything like Picasso. I will use one phrase of Picasso. We cannot change the rules. We can just learn how to navigate. So this is exactly what we need to do with blockchain. As internet, it was not something that we predicted. We just happened to be in this era, and internet was a disruptive power that nobody can avoid. And everything took a roll so quickly in all aspects of life. Also, if you reflect in a personal level, if we just go on a walk, everybody is watching on their mobile devices for whatever reason. So this is the way things are. We cannot avoid change. We can just learn to navigate within this. And blockchain is, like internet was, just another disruptive trend that we need to embrace, either we want it or not.
Indeed. And I think to your point, there are different stages at which people embrace. They're the early adopters. They're those that wait and see.
Exactly.
And I'm going to now go to Alushca, because you've got a very interesting link in the travel chain, being from the point of view of the travel guides, the tour guides. By implication, that is a basis of information that builds trust, that seeks to build comfort around going to new places. What do you think is critical in building trust with travelers from the point of view of the narrative and how we shape the narrative?
Thank you, Anita. That's an interesting perspective to take, and I think we need to remember we are dealing with humans and we are dealing with their emotions, and as mentioned, change is quite an important thing to address. So with the change comes the credibility aspect, and when we deal with people, we need to understand that us as the suppliers, the small businesses, the SMMEs, we have such an important role to play in that transfer of information, in that transfer of credibility and safety. And I think that links very closely to the education. So if you can connect with those SMMEs and really provide the education to them, they have such big access to your potential mass market for blockchain and the education behind it, and the usage of everything connected and the entire ecosystem of tourism. And that is a valuable thing, and not necessarily tangible right now, but the vision is there. And I think in dealing with those connectivities and those people in the value chain, that's something that a lot of the tech people are overlooking, because that connection between the human aspect and the SMMEs is not there. I think that will speak volumes to how this will move forward and how quickly it will move forward. The opportunity is really there, and at the moment it's seen more as a threat and a challenge. And through that credible voice of the actual supplier on the ground, that can change.
Because I think, Alushca, your comment is critical, that if we look at the ecosystem that is travel and tourism, 80% are SMMEs, as you're saying. And so this is where I think it comes very much into a group like Ariva. I'd love to understand, because people buying into blockchain and cryptocurrency is one thing. The ability to connect to it is another. How do we overcome that barrier where you can have the corporate brands, the global brands, very much buying in and committing, but the nature of our industry is micro? How do we get the accessibility technologically, even if they do believe in it philosophically?
It's not so complicated in the end, because it was quite interesting, the example that it was given previous about internet. And I was thinking right now that I am a generation that had the first personal computer around 16, 17 years old. So, and from that moment, I had my personal computer 20 years ago. After that, nobody was using internet. Everybody was reading the news on the newspaper or on the television. Now we have the internet, and the information was multiplied with, I don't know, billions and billions and billions of sites and web pages that offer us daily information. And now we are in a moment in which all this data, all this information is stocked. It's at our disposal. We just have to learn to use it, to manage it, in the same way that we learn how to use the personal computer, in the same way in which in the tourism industry we've learned how to use a reservation program, a ticketing program. It was quite complicated now to use a ticketing program, I don't know, 15 years ago, or a reservation program 15 years ago. It was like a huge difference. Of course that the biggest corporations are coming first with this and are embracing first this new technology. But this is a normal trend. It's normal for the big corporation to embrace first, but after that, to catch up with the new trend, also the micro will learn and will embrace to use that. But it's a thing that an aspect that I didn't mention in my presentation, because also we are trying not only to educate, to explain, to unpack what means this new system, this new integrated system that connects blockchain system with the travel and tourism industry. But also we try to do it in stages, not just in 1 second. It's moving quickly, it's true, but for the business sector, and mostly for the small and medium enterprises, we are doing this in stages, and also for the consumer. So we don't have only the internet, we don't have only the electronic wallet with coins on our telephone, because maybe my mother will never, or at this moment she will never use the wallet on the telephone. But I was discussing with the creators of Ariva, and now we'll come with credit cards with Ariva coins. So you will have on your credit card Ariva coin, and you will go to the hotel and you will pay with your Ariva card. And they'll have this kind of POS machines, and you will pay in the same way that you are using a card, but with Ariva coin. You will ask me, which will be the difference then? No? Why I can't use my credit card? For the reason that we discussed in previous, because with Ariva coin, you have no SWIFT transactions, no commission fees, non-commission for exchanging your money from one currency to another depending on your destination. So you will realize that you will make it, your travel experience will be like more efficient in terms of finance. Also for the business will be more efficient to avoid all these bureaucratic and financial charges. And everything will move more smoothly. And I think everybody in this century of speed wants to move more quickly, to make business more quickly, to resolve your problems more quickly, to plan your holiday more quickly. So that's why I'm thinking that in a way or another, we'll see that it will happen to meet in the middle, everybody. It's like closing, making a puzzle, you know, and we'll find in a way or another how to create the clear image of what means the blockchain technology, what means to use this blockchain technology and the cryptocurrency, and the most important is how you can bring the businesses and the customers in using, and like this technology is like that. It's not your enemy, and is not your master. No, it's your ally, and more of this, it will be your servant in the moment in which you will understand how to use this technology.
And I think that's a great lead-in, and I'd like to then ask the lovely ladies on the rest of the panel about this, because when we look back at where we were 2 years ago, well, a little over 2 years ago, when the news first came out that the world was in trouble, and everyone suddenly jumped online, and we've got our international audience that's watching now, and I was interviewing a leader who'd been through many crises. He'd been through 9/11, SARS, Ebola, the whole bit. And it was a double interview, and I asked one leader, what did you learn in this crisis that you never learned before? And I got a very philosophical answer. It was lovely. It was about leadership and helping the board. And I turned to this other leader who's in his 70s. And I said, what did you learn in this crisis that you never knew before? And without hesitation, he just looks at me and he says, I learned how to Zoom. And I burst out laughing, because it's true. We've all been yanked into the digital space. And I think the point being that this cryptocurrency, blockchain, whatever we want to call it, it's happening. It's not going to happen, it's happening. It's a question of how we can bring it on. I'd like to start with you, Anju, and go all the way to your side of the stage and say, based on what we know now, compared to what we knew this morning when we came into the room, compared to what we knew a year ago, when you're talking to people this evening, which actually doesn't qualify because I know that there's an official dinner tonight, when you're talking to your family tomorrow, what is the single message you would give around why this is a really good idea for travelers?
In one word, convenience, of course, and in a larger sense, it's going to be the new generation which has to experience this. And I know I have already the millennials who are in this, who are deep into it, and they are already traveling with very small groups, but there are a lot of services provided under this current system, and they are using cryptocurrencies to make money without going for 9-to-5 jobs, and investing their time in learning and investing in Bitcoin. And I think the way forward is to trust and be aware and be technologically, updating yourself, because COVID has only pushed us to learn quickly and make quick decisions. And it's more and more, the blockchain is also making its own effort of building that trust factor. What it was 10 years ago or 7 years ago, we have evolved. The technology has evolved, and there is maybe a very small number of people still within the blockchain, but they are growing. The scaling is going very high, and I think it's within no time that we will be having coffee shops and we can buy a coffee with crypto. It may not be with Bitcoin, but I know that locally we have, Dubai is one of the smartest city. We do have possibilities of buying property here with cryptocurrency. So I think it's growing quickly, and all of this is going to just dawn on one morning, and everybody is going to have a digital wallet. And I'm looking forward for that day.
I think that, to your point, crypto need not be seen as cryptic. It need not be scary. Alushca, from your perspective.
I would say safety and security. Speaking in layman's terms, to those out there who are not from a technical background, I think the realization that the safety and security benefits, that message needs to be put across a lot stronger. To me, that really resonated today, because you've always had this perception that cryptocurrency is perhaps not so safe, and all this weird and wonderful language going on. But to me, I think that is a really strong message to put across, and with that, changing the mindset. The changing of the mindset is really a priority when it comes to blockchain, and I think those two will link very closely together.
It's a great point. Anastasia, from your perspective.
I would like to add also a philosophical dimension to this. As you said, Zoom is the keyword. If we keep one keyword in this crisis, without Zoom and internet, the mental health of most of us would be in a challenge, let's say, situation. I believe that from this crisis, what we learned is, apart from using Zoom, and either we want it or not, all these touchless transactions, is to setting priorities. And how this helps us is we didn't choose to be in this world and not in this era, but we are here now. And what we can do with this, as technology proceeds, we discussed about change earlier. In every era, there has been changes. The difference is that in our era, changes are happening so much quicker. And is taking to dimensions that we couldn't even imagine in a personal and business-wise level. And of course, it's affecting the whole society. So I would like to say that with regards to blockchain, the reason it was created, it came because it's like a domino effect. When we have internet, then we had the touchless payments, then we had cryptocurrency, and then it came, it's blockchain. Is to avoid all the data breach, is to add value, is to enhance the experience of all the involved stakeholders, and at the end of the day is, as it was discussed earlier, to add convenience. It's to reduce the time in checking in traveling, in transmitting the same data over and over. It's at the end of the day, it's to make things easier.
Yes.
And to add security.
It's interesting you say that, because I think that's where, again, it's being very articulate about the benefits. How is this making life easier? You mentioned saving time this morning. You've said it again. I don't think we're going to realize how much money we spent on services for money transfer until we stop paying the fees for services of money transfer. I'm curious, we've got just under less than 5 minutes to go. 1 year from now, we're sitting on the stage, and we've been talking about the speed of change, what's going to happen. We need to brace it and embrace it. We need to brace for it. 1 year from now, what conversation are we having about blockchain? Anju.
I think 1 year from now, I'm hoping it's a wish list. I hope that I can just go from home directly into the cabin at the flight with the no checkpoints, where I'm verified already just once, and I don't lose my luggage. I am at the venue that I'm supposed to be with no hassle, and everybody has got a wallet, and we just exchange and we move on.
Brilliant.
I'm hoping that we'll reach there, but that's my wish list.
I think, Claudia, that's your challenge. You have 1 year to make that all happen. Otherwise, it'll be easy. Alushca, from your perspective.
From my perspective, from a supplier point of view, just a tour in a day, same thing, paperless, just no access, no tickets here, and just getting in your vehicle and doing your tour. And I think that would be amazing, so that you don't have to worry about all those barriers throughout your day. So very similar, the journey for the day being completely seamless would be my vision in a year's time.
Brilliant. Anastasia.
Well, I would like to add that, of course, like the butterfly effect in math that is used also in management, that every even minor change in the process can have a completely different outcome in the end. So this dimension that was mentioned just now, to just arrive by identifying ourselves just once in whatever destination we want, this would be very positive aspect for some, and at the same time, you understand that for some others is exactly this, that it's the dangerous part. But also I will say, like in these futuristic movies, who is it that avoids this control? Because for the most of us, we cannot avoid paying taxes and declaring what we're earning and all of that. So for most of the people, if we are not hiding anything, it's something that it's for our benefit to reduce the time and the hassle of entering again and again the same data.
Indeed.
So,
you know, what's been so lovely about listening to your responses, and it's something that's happened in the last 2 years, we talk about the future of travel. We talk about travelers and travelers and travelers. We are them. All three of you responded in A, for everything we've been talking about, I want to know I can do this and this and this without any waste of time and hassle. And that's what's so lovely, because we suddenly are transposed into understanding what travelers want, because that's the security we want in all of this. Where do you want to be a year from now?
In this moment, I think the blockchain technology for tourism, because I was speaking about this today, it's offering an amazing thing to me. It's offering me the possibility to manage more efficient my time, to manage more efficient my finance, and to manage more efficient my planning of a travel experience. So I think this is the most important. I already mentioned before being representing Arriva and being a stakeholder and being in the private sector and supporting the tourism industry. I was also a member of the European Parliament, so very much involved in the political aspects. And of course, for a politician, it's very important to have a vision, to have a strategy. And in my quality as a chair of European Development Intergroup, I was having this vision of having a big platform for promoting our destination and our travel and tourism services. And I was really, really promoting this at the level of the European Parliament, European institution, even at the level of WTO, mostly speaking this with the former Secretary General, with Taleb Rivai, but also with Mr. Zurapolo Likashvili. I was presenting this, vision that I have. But of course, I really didn't have the other part, the part that should link this, like, okay, you have a platform that is offering you all the magic world of tourism and travel, but how you are managing this, like from the management point and from the financing point, how you can choose and pay your services. And now is coming this amazing solution that you can do this. You really can do this. So this is only the beginning in my point of view. And the most amazing thing is when somebody told me about blockchain 5 years ago, for example, in the European Parliament, I was trying to read and to understand and to inform myself, and I was really not understanding anything about this. Like, it was so hard for me to understand. Now I'm speaking with such normality, natural about this thing, but also today I told you new things that are happening, because to be sincere, blockchain is a creation that is already in the past, and now it's only developing and it's only linking this technology with the business, with the investment world, and with the consumers. But now I was speaking today about Arriva Wonderland, you know, about the metaverse, about the virtual experience of traveling. We are speaking about NFT, you know, like it's something new, it's a new stage. So I will tell you, and I have this conviction, like I'm also thinking about this metaphor of the butterfly, but I can tell you, yes, this will be a butterfly that will be more and more beautiful in the future, more and more beautiful complex and more beautiful colors. And I think for this kind of technology and vision, only the sky is the limit. So let's expect and see what's happening in the future.
It's interesting, because as we pull this up and we can close this last session, to me that's been one of the most exciting things about today. We've looked at this subject matter as all of this new terminology, but it keeps going back to, but that's something I already knew. That's a journey step that we already knew when we had the presentation about PropTech this morning. This is not the first step on the journey. We've been on this journey of migration into technology. This is just the next step. And that's quite reassuring, because if we can get this far, we can do the next one as long as we do it all together. So with that, I'd like to thank the panel very much for their contribution, and particularly thank the Global Tourism Forum and the World Tourism Forum Institute for bringing this conversation together. Because as exactly to see, you know, Owen and I were talking this morning, we need to understand what we don't understand. And funnily enough, it's a lot more comfortable when collectively people take on these questions. So thank you very much to my finale panel. I'm very grateful.
We thank to you, dear Anita,
Thank you,
for
Anita.
everything that you've done today for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as we hand over, I'm now going to hand over